This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on May 2nd, 2021.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Council of the First Ones. I'm Kelly. Joining me today is David Clark from adultcollector.org. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. Yeah, enjoying the weather in Seattle, Washington, and the toy hunt. It's been a great week.
Well, also joining us is our friend Shawn. Hi, Shawn.
Hey, Kelly, how's it going?
Pretty good. I know neither one of you were able to join me when I got the chance to interview Rob from Faking Filmation.
Yeah, great job with that.
Thank you very much. First, the community needs to be applauded. Not only did we surpass what we were needed, we're getting close to tripling it. We've hit the $80,000 mark. We have 4 days left as of this recording to try and get 90,000 for Faking Filmation. So the whole community needs an applause. James's project that he poured so much effort into will finally be seen with this documentary.
Yeah, it's amazing how much progress has been made. I'm astounded, and I'm just congratulations to James. I mean, this is his baby, right? This is his passion, his project, his creation, and it's taking
with hitting the 80,000 mark. He's got to draw 9 more minutes of faking of the Return of Faker to make it a 40-minute episode instead of the 31 minutes that he had already done.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Yeah.
Get to work, James. Get to
That's
work.
Right.
Yeah. No,
hopefully it's not just Faker eating a sandwich for 9 minutes. I don't know.
It'll be like the ending of the first Avengers movie, Shawarma, and just Faker eating shawarma with He-Man.
Right.
No, but
No, I was gonna just say no. It's not gonna be the shawarma. It's gonna be Orko becoming He-Orko.
That's if the new people that do the comic books would do it. I would imagine. I think James would have a little. I don't know if that would work here, you know. But no. To me, it's a testament to if you are a good person, good things happen to you. And I've never heard anybody have a bad thing to say about James since I've been in the community. And it truly, it felt good to even be a part of this, because having the ability to fund something that mattered that much to someone, and then it also matters to everyone else, where it's like, here's this treasure you'll never get anywhere else, you know, and it's almost like you get to relive your childhood one more day, you know, and that's the present here. So the fact that it's even longer than the typical Filmation too, how cool is that? You know,
I know typical Filmation was 22 minutes.
Exactly.
So it's almost a double episode.
It's like we get 2 for the price of 1 now, which is even better. And, you know, also Rob for being the person behind this to make this happen. That's amazing. And the fact that, you know, he's been championing this, and then James for his story with it. It's like, man, it's how can you not feel good supporting this in one way or another? You know, it's a great project to be on board with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is he going to have it ready, do you think, by PowerCon to show everybody, or maybe, I don't know?
I'm not sure with the documentary part of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that could take a long while. Yeah, that's right.
If I remember, I heard Rob say they're actually going to begin doing stuff though.
That's right.
So it's
Yeah,
like their lead time is still like, if I remember it, it's like 2023. They figure this is going to actually see the light of day now, because this gives them the money to fund what they need to do to tell the story now. They were waiting to find out how much they could put into it based on the Kickstarter doing well.
Right.
And also the fact that Canada has not relaxed really their travel restrictions, so he couldn't even do any filming during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
He did tell me that he is going to have a crew go out to PowerCon this year to do filming, but he won't be able to because he is in Canada and there's no sign of them easing the border restrictions in the U.S. and Canada yet with the COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
So that gives James that little wiggle room to create those 9 minutes and the cereal box cover.
That's true, and if anything, 2020's shown us anything's possible for how he's going to get those interviews done. It's not unheard of or unworldly that, Zoom, Skype, they're out there. You can get these people to have these interviews with Rob and his team. So, I know it's going to happen one way or the other, and that's great.
Yeah.
So
we'll get it done.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something to look forward to, and we have a lot more to look forward to, of course, coming up. There's plenty of news to go around, such as Dan's new book.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that comes out tomorrow. It starts shipping, and if you still want the bundle, PowerCon has 10% of their stock remaining between PowerCon and Big Bad Toy Store if you want the 2-book set for $80. Otherwise, you can get just the toy guide anywhere starting tomorrow. I know I'm looking forward to my new reading.
Mm-hmm.
A little light reading.
Well, it's funny. We just covered James and the Kickstarter, and here's another instance of fan done good kind of a thing, because that was something that Dan really wanted to do for how long, and he and Val and everybody behind the scenes got to make that work. It's like it's almost like Masters of the Universe, the place where dreams are made of. Like all these fans in the community are able to do these projects that are important to them, and the community is there to respond in a positive way. And it's like, whether you see the negativity from certain people in groups, it's still, there is a very broad appeal and a broad positive community that we have here, which, that's awesome. So I'll applaud it once again, even though I'm not the most positive person, but I have to be positive tonight with all this good news coming out. So there you go.
I mean, every book that has come out for the Masters of the Universe has been fan-driven, fan-written, which blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the most loving community there is.
Very passionate, too. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I've been to other communities, and they're not as welcoming as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I brought that up with Rob, how I think being that Filmation was our basis. That was our moral and the soul of the Masters of the Universe, laying that foundation for all of us, and we keep building on it, sharing all the goodness that is Masters.
Yeah. See, those morals at the end of the story actually kicked in. It's great. I mean, there are people out there that like to make fun of them, but I mean, it's like there are definitely times it's like, as silly as it sounds, what would He-Man do? He-Man would probably tell you, don't be an idiot to this person, don't treat them badly or whatever. And it's like, luckily some of us took that into our adulthood to try to make other people better, and make ourselves better. So yeah, I mean, it's a good time. I mean, geez, I wish I had a project and be like, hey, I got this idea too, and see what would happen now that all this good stuff's happening. But I got too much stuff going on.
Well, we have also a little teaser talking about PowerCon.
Yeah.
PowerCon is September 11th and 12th. Right, currently, the Hilton where it's being held, 70% of the rooms set aside for PowerCon have been booked. So if you want to stay there, head over to power-con.com and click on the link for the hotels so you can reserve your room. You are required to leave the first night as your deposit. That's just to secure the room. But there are plenty of hotels around, so if you miss out staying at the Hilton, plenty there. And hopefully you don't get trapped by the most magical place on the planet, which happens to be next door.
Well, so I got my room, and I actually didn't go with the PowerCon block of rooms, but I was still able to get a room. I was able to get a discount. They have some kind of club or something with Hilton, and yeah, mine came out a little bit cheaper, at least for what I ordered at the time. My plans may be changing, but yeah, even if the block of rooms sells out, there's a chance you may still be able to stay at the Hilton. Yeah, so.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
But the teaser that they released, I'm like, this year is the Horde, the year of the Horde at PowerCon. Because we had Horde Eyes, a Horde Trooper, Grizzlor, and Faker.
Well, yeah, it looks like we're going to get some kind of Filmation Hordak figure. Grizzlor, maybe the dark-faced Grizzlor, right? That variant.
Okay.
And the Horde Trooper looks like the plastic around the rim of his eyes is red, possibly. Not, it's hard to tell. But Faker is clearly Leo Faker.
Yes.
Which is really exciting.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're picking all these Horde ones to honor She-Ra's 35th, a year late, but hey, we were busy running around for toilet paper.
Yeah, anyway. Because people were hoarding that last year. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I did that. Dad jokes ensue.
My goodness.
They're not going to let me into that room. They're going to be like, you said that on that podcast? Are you freaking kidding us? No, you don't get to get into PowerCon this year, Shawn. So, yeah.
So it's going to be triple the money for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be the guy out in front of Disney holding a cup and going, alms for PowerCon, alms for PowerCon. Yeah.
Well, and we don't know yet, of course, if these are going to be Origins figures, Masterverse figures, Classics figures. I mean, we don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, everything's up in the air.
Yeah.
We have to wait till May 15th to find out exactly what evil figures they are planning for. But also last year's exclusive, the Lords of Power, well, now they're coming out on single card.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully so, yeah.
So it's like, wait, what happened to the exclusive here? Yes, the box is gorgeous. Axel and the design team knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. But now you can get Merman at retail.
Well, so Merman and Beastman, one thing to be aware of is that these new versions, the retail version, just like okay, so the retail version has less deco, is the headline here. Which is great because then it preserves that exclusiveness that you get with the PowerCon set, which is of course worth quite a bit of money. I honestly haven't opened mine yet, just because it has the tape on there, and I don't know if I'm going to get wonky eyes with my set. So, like I did with the previous San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set. So it's great to be able to get these retail offerings.
Yeah, I'm happy that I could get Merman because I did like the head sculpt on the Lords of Power. I never did like the original head sculpt of Merman. It just looked too kitty cat-like.
Well, and I'm thrilled with the kitty cat head just because in Classics we never, and I'm shocked, honestly, that we never got a Classics Merman figure. We just got a variant figure of the cardback version of Merman. And but yeah, I'm glad that we're getting that Merman. At the same time, I just want to put it out there that those Lords of Power figures, those are not supposed to be I would think that they are not supposed to be a replacement for actual mini comic variants, which I hope we get in the future, a whole set of them.
Me too. But I like that we can now get the Lords of Power that we can play with and not worry about our exclusives. We can keep those sealed.
Yeah.
Well, I also went to Walmart, got to see Panther in the wild. I mean, yes, the box is slightly furry. You have to actually feel very carefully to feel it.
It's a bit soft, maybe.
If you weren't paying attention, you don't notice it. It's that faint.
I'm holding. Wait, do I have both on hand? I've got them both. I want to do the test right now. I think my regular Panther is going to be very sad that he's going in a box. But yeah, I've got them both in hand, and it's very different. It's very slight, a very slight. It's like very not very noticeable, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah,
there's a little difference.
You have to pay attention. I mean, they did promise us at PowerCon last year that we were going to get a flocked box,
right? And which I thought was going to be flocked like Panther's fur, but
Me too.
And I really honestly don't care, but aside from the $40 price point, but yeah.
But I figured we have to give kudos when it's deserved. Because I really didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off, because flocking comes off very easily.
Yeah.
So I was impressed on that.
Some kind of chemical treatment or something. It's odd.
But
yeah, I'm glad. I was just going to say, I'm really surprised you found it in the wild. The scalpers have been all over this one.
Got there very early. Haven't been able to get the Target exclusive yet. I've gone to several Targets. Yep, the Rise of Evil. The Targets around me haven't gotten it, even the one in South Plainfield, which is about 20 to 30 minutes away, they had it for about 3 minutes.
Have you checked, have you been keeping an eye on BrickSeek?
Yes.
Now, when you're going to the store, even if it says that they don't have it yet, you know, that, well, even if it says that it's sold out, you go in and you show them
the DCI and the barcode, and
Yeah,
I've had them scan it.
Right, and I was going to say, you ask them when the delivery date is. Similar to with these Castle Grayskulls, even if BrickSeek says, you know, they don't have them yet, that they're all sold out, then go into the store, ask, say, you know, show them the barcode and see if you can get a delivery date so you know when they're coming, because that's not something that BrickSeek will tell you.
Right.
Yeah. I lucked out. I mean, gosh, I remember I woke up, and it's funny because I you know, sometimes I get a tiny bit of a heads up, because on the Origins fans group, somebody will submit the first post of, I found this in Washington State. And then before I approve it, I can reach out to my friend and say, hey, guess what? They're here. And then,
Hey,
so yeah, yeah.
You got lucky with that little delivery from Mattel.
Yes. Yeah, extremely lucky. Oh my gosh. A 13-pound box full of toys from Mattel. I mean, it's Christmas. It's a Christmas miracle, and you know, these guys in Mattel that are running the Origins line are just fantastic. Yeah, they are really awesome. And so yeah, I feel like I'm the only person in Washington State that has a Castle Grayskull at this point. And it's actually right behind me. I've got my whole little studio set up that I've been trying for days to get to the second part of my review of the castle, where I actually have opened it and I'm going to review the opened castle. The first video was just about the packaging and the artist's work and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. You really did a good job of shouting out to Nate and Axel on that, because usually reviews, it's like they just tear it open and then boom, let's just get into this. And I'm like, no, you're putting time and consideration into the people who actually produced just that, which granted, yeah, it's an amazing piece of art. But yeah, I was really surprised your version of how you reviewed it, and you made it your own there. So
thank you.
Nice work.
And thank you. There are a couple more people I wanted to give a shout out to. One is Francisco Etchart, who partners with Axel on the cross-sell art, and I would assume that means the white sorceress figure on the front of the box is, you know, that cross-sell art was done by Axel and Francisco. And then the other person is the person who worked with Axel on kind of like the sketch, the overall layout of the back of the box. And Axel shared like the Instagram tag name of the person. I didn't look up the actual name of the person, but yeah, I should have shouted out to both of those two individuals. But yeah, the second video should be amazing. But yeah, thank you for pointing out that wonderful fact. You know, that bit of luck. I wanted to say, I was able to get the Rise of Evil 2-pack. I was able to get mine, and then they just disappeared, like gone instantly. And then the Panther, when I got the heads up, you know, that it had shown up to Washington, I called about 8 different stores and got various, you know, versions of, it's a new mod and it was probably stolen and we don't have it. And and then my buddy was able to relay that to my friend, and he went and was able to pick up 2 of them, one for me, one for him. And then I was driving home and I stopped at a Walmart, and this gal at the electronics counter, she was super nice. She said, yeah, give me your number and I'll look for the item and I'll call you in the morning. And sure enough, she found me a second Panther, and then she put 4 on the shelf, and she grabbed one, and then she said the other 3 were gone instantly. And I've seen no indication that they're anywhere in Washington State since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been able to get to Target actually a couple times in the last week, which is very rare for me. Nice. And I actually saw Panther on the shelf, but it was the non-flock version.
Oh, no.
You know? So I was like, oh, at least I see him. You know, he's here. Yeah. So.
Well, the flock version is exclusive to Walmart.
Yeah, well, our Walmart just has Skeletor.
Yeah.
I've looked in there a couple different times this week, too. It's like there's one He-Man and there's like 12 Skeletors on the pegs right now at the one that I go to.
You have to use the same strategies that scalpers use to get these, honestly. It's gotten that bad. And by the way, I wanted to point out that the Origins fans group, which is just about to hit 30,000 members, this past week was as soon as Rise of Evil 2-pack hit, has been by far the busiest week ever for the group. And boy, I'll tell you that these exclusive sets turned a lot of people nasty. Like the comments, the vitriol, like just attacking other members that I saw going on in the groups, just the bitterness. It was just awful. And there were so many calls of, this group, this community or this group is toxic, that I had to implement a whole bunch of new rules and ban a bunch of people and just take charge to rein in this gross toxicity that rose, this evil that has risen because of the exclusive-ness of these figures.
David Clark, Revelation. He's gonna take them on. No, I got a question, and since David is really like one of the point people I see as knowing a lot of what's happening, this 2-pack that's out there, the Reign of Evil one, or is it Rise of Evil or Reign of Evil? I always get Rise of Evil. Okay. I want to make sure I'm getting it right because I've been missing. It's like I'll switch them out here. Rise of Evil. Is this going to be? Obviously, it's exclusive, but is it going to have a certain run? Like they're only making X amount, or is this going to be as long as you can get to a Target, it should be available even if you don't get it within the first week it's available? Have you heard anything along those lines?
Just one or two things that I will take with a giant grain of salt that I'm not even going to repeat because I don't want rumors like that to fly around.
Okay.
So
Mattel never releases numbers.
Well, I was just worried that they were going to have something along the lines of there's a limit of how many they're making of that particular 2-pack to, like 10,000 or something. So it goes nationally, but and I'm not trying to do it like, it's going to be this ultra rare thing, but with how the people have been acting, that's why I'm curious if there is a specific number of run for that in particular, or is it? There have been a lot of people even this week in other groups that I've been in. They're even like not Masters community, but like action figure collecting community, where they've shown up and people are holding them and they're like, don't give in to the scalpers and just be patient. You'll find it if you're looking for this or whatever. So that's kind of why I think, the message for us talking about it is be patient, don't give in, and that kind of the thing. But I was just curious if it was something that the scarcity is going to become an issue eventually, or if it is a possibility that everyone who wants one will find it.
Eventually, sure. Like every other action figure, right?
Okay.
Especially with this, how hot this line is. But, I mean, I would say as long as you're consciously keeping an eye out on BrickSeek, you've got a notification set for the online listing for the Rise of Evil set, and if you go to a store and you keep keep your ear to the ground on when they're going to show up, then you can fairly easily. I'm not going to say fairly easily get one. You've got to put in the work, but you can get one for sure.
Yeah.
And you don't need to pay outrageous scalper prices for them, which there is way too much of that, as we all know. Yeah.
It just makes me curious if this is now the way of the future or not. Only from, I know last year in like Target exclusively was dealing with G.I. Joe classified for a while.
Oh yeah.
And that made people lose their minds because if you went in there, you're never seeing them on the peg. So
Right.
it's out of sight, out of mind. And, you know, like when Target got Masters on January 1st this year, that was like the biggest hallelujah moment of anybody looking for Origins since Walmart was really hard to deal with for this.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like now Target's running into their MO from last year with this. So it's just you know, like I think there is an element of if you're not going to be able to do a Comic-Con, that is a fun way to do it. And I'm sure there's people out there, if they hear me say that, they're like, yeah, right, pal, you know, like this is fun. But as in having something that is a sought after, you're not going to find it just anywhere. This is where you're going to find it piece is what I mean. But I feel like Target's MO is really, really, it's making collectors frustrated for that reason alone, because every time something's exclusive to them, that is the thing you're never going to be able to find in the way you're in the timeline you're hoping for. But hopefully Comic-Cons come back, and then that will be the thing versus maybe these exclusives through one store or whatever starting next year at this point, I guess. But
right. Well, you know, you gotta get up. I remember for almost a week I was getting up early. You know, a few hours earlier than I normally do, just so that in the morning I could call all of the local Target stores and trying to track down a set. And you know, one thing I'll say is ultimately you can call all the stores you want. What actually works is going to the stores. And you know, the store, if you're at the store, they can tell you if a store near them has one, and you can get lucky with having one put something on hold at the customer service desk. That's worked for me many times. But it's all just you know, it's just playing the odds. It's nothing's guaranteed. They're not necessarily going to look in the back. They're not necessarily going to hold it for you. Don't run in the store because they could kick you out. You know, there's a lot of nuance to it. Yeah. There's a lot that goes on with this game that everybody has to play, which is kind of ridiculous. And yes, I will say that I miss MattyCollector.com.
I'd rather deal with the white screen of doom some days than all the running trying to find an exclusive.
Yeah, because I'm personally very sick at this point of hearing people accusing Target and Walmart employees of you know, playing tricks and being evil and being scalpers themselves, and on and on and on. And it's gross, you know. This again, there's a, you know, again, this is a wonderful community of collectors, and it's the overall collector community as well. It's not just He-Man and Masters.
Right.
But yeah, this exclusive stuff, it brings out the worst in people for sure.
Well, there was one more exclusive that did come out. Well, sort of come out. I believe it was the Shogun Skeletor on Mattel Creations, and that sold out very quickly.
It's such a cool looking toy. Oh my gosh. It's incredibly expensive though.
Well, there's such a small run of them.
Yeah. Well, and it's huge. Like I didn't realize at first just how tall it would be.
Yeah, I think it's like 16 inches in height.
Yeah, it's a monster. And the promotional images were incredibly professional that were put out on the Foosh.com, and and elsewhere. And man, if it wasn't so expensive, like what was it, $500, $600?
I don't know. I didn't look at the price tag.
It was up there. It was up there. Yeah. But
I was going between that and ordering my power sword.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm sorry, but Factory Entertainment won again with a life-size power sword and shield. But that one is $549 plus tax.
Right. Yeah.
Because I know I had to call them up. I said, you have the bundle. I already paid for the Havoc staff. I want the discount. And they did give it to me.
Nice.
So both of them should be coming around the same time.
I'm sure this is not the... I was just going to say, I'm sure it's not the case, but it's funny that this expensive stuff's coming out right as people are getting their checks from the government. Their what do you call those? The stimulus checks.
Stimulus checks, yeah. And what I love is I actually said on the show when we talked about the Havoc staff, I was like, oh, I'd be in for a power sword, and it's like, but they're still doing PowerCon. So then I'm like, okay, do I do a plane ticket or do I get a power sword? And I'm like, this is killing me. This isn't cool anymore, because I literally, that would be one thing I'd absolutely love, but I really need to get out the PowerCon. I don't care. Like I had my first vaccination shot this past Friday, so I'm already halfway to the point of feeling a little more comfortable doing it. And now it's like, but the power sword, it's oh my gosh.
The box that comes in looks just very similar to the box from the 2000X when Adam first received the sword in Castle Grayskull.
You can't see me crying, and I don't want you to think that I'm unmanly here. This isn't fair to me at this point. No, like I believe me, everything about that one, when I saw it, I'm like, could I pull it off? Because I know they did have a payment plan. It wasn't that you had to just do it outright. But even with that right now, I'm like, it's like I got to put money back for the plane ticket. I got to put money back for this and that for PowerCon, because that to me is the absolute. I really need to do that this year for so many reasons. And but yeah, like that. When I saw it, I'm like, my jaw dropped, and I'm like, that is beautiful. That piece is exactly the way I'd want to see it done, like as a replica and everything. So yeah, I'll be jealous. I'm gonna be jealous when you get yours. I want to see photos, and then I can cry in my own room, and nobody will make fun of me. But yeah.
Yeah, since I'm not heading out to PowerCon this year, I'm busy. Yeah, I'll take that replica. I'll take that replica.
There you go. Exactly. It's priorities, Why not? If you can't do the one, do the other. And that's it's like here. Like I said, mine is the opposite way this year, unfortunately. But I'm sure I'll end up seeing it somewhere. And if I have that kind of money in my pocket, and it is close to that amount, like at a convention or somewhere, get me on the right day. And I'd be really in on that one, because you know that David, that Kelly is going to probably walk out into her yard after she gets that, and I bet you she'll actually say, I have the power, and see what happens. That's going to happen.
As long as there are no rain clouds in the sky.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't do it on a rainy day, because then it'll be in the awesome part when the lightning actually comes down and it's sunny, and you're like, oh my God.
that would end in tears. Yeah.
You won't get the spray on tan.
Well, that's how you get the tan. When the lightning hits him, that's why he turns tan. It's like, holy crap, I got hit with 8.88 gigawatts or whatever.
Yeah, your hair would look closer to Stinkor's.
Be like Stinkor meets Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not going to pick on her, because she's going to have a power sword in her hand. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I'm not going to say anything.
Wait, the power sword and the Havoc staff Don't mess with me.
Exactly. Well, it's like which version do you want? Do you want Kelly on a good day or a bad day? Because she's got an answer for either one now. It's no good. So.
Well, it's okay because Shawn and me, we can wait for the Mattel to put out some role play Motu gear at retail, and then we can play with those.
We'll come in with our $20 like foot long swords, It's like, we can get you now. Then she just points it at us, and we're like, oh, maybe not. It's like stainless steel versus plastic. Who's gonna win here? This PVC isn't really holding up today.
So, that would be so incredibly popular with all these. I mean, every day you see all these wonderful pictures of the dads, playing with their kids with these new Origins figures. How great would that be for them to pick up some role play sets at Target or Walmart?
I'd be afraid of my son. My son right now. No lie, in the last 2 weeks, and I don't know what hit in the last 2 weeks, my son has now He-Man and Skeletor are in his hands a lot. And I'm cool with that because Lord knows I'm watching that, reliving my childhood through him, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And every day it's, Dad, can we go downstairs? And then, Dad, can you be Skeletor? So I have to play Skeletor. He plays He-Man, and I'm completely cool with that. But his He-Man is like the most lethal and vengeful He-Man I've ever played against, because he sees Skeletor and he just starts battering me. And then he's like, oh, Skeletor's dead. And he'll have a sad little moment. And then he goes off. He goes, okay, He-Man's going to go into Grayskull. And he does his own thing. And then again, thank you, David, for the gift the other day. He sent my son a Beastman. So now we have Skeletor and Beastman versus He-Man and Battlecat. And oh my God, it's like, even with two evil warriors, I can't beat my son playing He-Man. He just, and like the one day we were going back and forth, and he literally, he didn't even need coaching. I had Skeletor at the gates of Grayskull, and I'm like, hey, He-Man, I'm about to get in, and all of a sudden he goes, I have the power, and knocked him off the table. I'm like, I'm not putting a sword in this kid's hands. I'm afraid to death of this, what he's going to do to me. I could see me running around the house, screaming my head off, going, honey, he's trying to kill me again. And my wife being there going like, Hayden, don't kill your father.
Nice.
But no, I agree with David, though. It would be fun to get the role play things, but dear God, don't send them to my kids. Send them to every kid that actually is going to play with them without wanting to kill their father. But it would be a fun thing to find, though, on the shelf.
That'd be amazing. And
I am surprised Mattel hasn't released role playing Masters of the Universe. They've done everything else.
Well, and they can come up with a big cardboard Castle Grayskull that kids can hide in. They could play around with the role play stuff. I mean, I've seen them do that with the other day I was at the mall and they had a giant cardboard fire truck you could put together. I mean, they do all kinds of stuff like that.
And they had that. Like even when we were kids, they had those, like the tents.
Yeah.
And all that. So it's not that far off, really, because I mean, they sell tents for kids. I have like a circus tent in our basement that my kids would love to get in and out of and put their toys in and stuff. So I mean, that's an easy go-to. Just have a Grayskull design on it, on the actual material, and sell it to people like us, and we'd eat that stuff up.
And they did have in the vintage years, they did have a vintage stand-up Castle Grayskull like that,
Mm-hmm.
And so I that's definitely on my wish list. But at the top, of course, is bring back the coloring books, the sticker books, the activity books, the paint books,
Mm-hmm.
the Panini sticker books.
Forms.
The what?
I don't know. Did you guys have the color form He-Man?
Oh yeah, color form.
Yep, you need color forms too with the light bright. Then the light bright.
Yeah.
Pattern. Because they are selling with light bright, so let's get the new patterns.
And the puffy stickers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, years ago, before Toys R Us went out of business, they actually still had the Viewmaster Masters of the Universe
Yes.
stuff. So,
Yeah,
I
give
mean,
us those.
exactly, bring those back. And
Cool.
I mean, the Faking Filmation was even doing that with the
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
with the one tier, and it's like that's still a thing.
Yeah.
We
They
could always have that.
They could do that with the Revelation series, as part of the marketing for it. Yeah, they could totally bring that back. And it would be cheap too. They don't have to go with they remember they tried modernizing the Viewmaster. It sold horribly apparently. I think it was discontinued, and it is super cheap to find the Masters of the Universe version of it. But yeah, you just go with the vintage style. Just bring it back. Very easy to reproduce, and I know that's one of the things that you can get with the Faking Filmation Kickstarter is
Yes, it
a
is.
remaster. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very cool. By the way,
I hope someone over at Mattel's listening, because we just gave you a whole bunch of areas you forgot about.
Well,
yeah,
and I'm also one of those people that because of how well my kids got into video games in the last year or two, I'm still the guy going, bring out a proper Masters video game. I don't care if it
yeah,
looks like the retro stuff that we grew up with. I don't care if it's a Revelation game. I don't care if it's it's due for everybody at this point. And there's so many people. Well, what would you want a versus like a Street Fighter 2, or would you want it to be like a massive role playing, like a Skyrim kind of deal or what? And for me, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just do it at this point because this brand has never had that. It's never done well because the games haven't been that great. So
yeah.
if they could do like an Arkham Asylum version where it's instead of Batman, you have He-Man, and you get to go on these extra little missions and stuff. I mean, that to me, out of everything, all the things that you guys listed, definitely, I would love to see that too. But I feel like that's one of the missing pieces that Mattel has yet to crack of that, and then that could be a gateway to people wanting the toys as well, and that because that's how my kids got into certain characters. They got interested in them through they played a video game like Lego Avengers, for instance. And then my daughter's like, Scarlet Witch is awesome, and I'm like, okay, then let's watch the Marvel movies. I showed her all the Marvel stuff with Scarlet Witch, and now she's all about Scarlet Witch, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
interested in the figures, they're interested in the characters. That helped. And it's like
Yeah.
I'm not saying put your kid in front of a TV all day and let them play video games, but it's like it does unlock a certain amount of curiosity. If you're playing them, you have control of them in the game. Then it's like then get them the figure, and then they're going to have control of them in any way they want. It's not
Yeah.
just the game rules, and it's unlocking new potential and new imagination for those kids.
Maybe if the new board games and D&D style game, if those are popular, then
I'm hoping
maybe that'll help them make that kind of decision. Although, I would think that for a video game, they would wait. They wouldn't even start to think about that until either. I'm gonna say maybe not even with Revelation, because Revelation is like what, a 10 episode, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a 10 episode miniseries at this point.
It's going to be 5 and 5. They're going to do
Yeah.
like 5 to start it, and then 5 like as a second season, technically. I think
Kind of like how they split up She-Ra, even though it's really not as not that
Exactly.
many episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really that. I mean, it's got the star power for sure, but it's still a little miniseries. So I'm gonna say
Sure.
it's not the video. It's not the media that you need to support the justifying a video game. So I'm thinking maybe next year, crossing fingers and toes, when the live action movie gets filmed, then maybe they'll think about a video game. We'll see.
Or with the CGI Masters of the Universe, not the Revelations, the other one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. That would be interesting. Although, that one kind of reminds me of the 2000X video games. The PlayStation version, and then I think there was a Game Boy version that they made for that. And we'll see. We'll see what life throws at us.
Everything lately, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, like you said, because it's like Mattel has been about putting out Masters. Is like, boy, have they put out Masters this year.
Yeah,
it feels even though the series are coming out still within a couple months from now, especially Revelation this summer, it still feels like, man, there's a lot even without worrying about that stuff right now.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, for me, it's like, okay, Panther, got that. Rise of Evil 2-pack, okay, got that. Got the new, WWE figures but what else do we need? We've got the new Battle Ram Hot Wheel toy we've got to look out for. We've got the Eternium.
I found that today.
Great
Battle Ram. That, and I'm now looking for the new Evelyn 2.0 or the 2000X version. Well, I don't know how they're putting it on the card, but I saw the pictures on Facebook. I'm like, there's my Evelyn, not the jaundice one. I want that one.
Yeah, they're in Malaysia right now, and I think Big Bad Toy Store is due to be shipping them maybe the middle of the month. We'll see. And but yeah, that's next. But also, of course, Castle Grayskull is making it's working its way around the country. It's not in Washington yet, but it's last I heard it was in North California maybe. But yeah, we've got that to collect, and I don't know. I feel like there are all these boats out in the water waiting to finally get into port, so that and that maybe at some point there will be some huge surge, right?
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Council of First Ones. Stay tuned as we get more information about PowerCon and other Origins figures that are hitting retail stores. And until next time, a journey.
And this is David Clark, owner of AdultCollector.org. I want to encourage everybody to join the 30,000 member Origins fans group, and to look for AdultCollector.org on YouTube. Until next time, good journey, everyone.
And this is Shawn Skvarna. Thanks for having me back through our mini PowerCon. I always enjoy this. And if you want to also do some more He-Man talk, if you want to listen to me and my friend Matthew Duch over at Legends of Grayskull podcast, take a listen. We go over episodes, we go over comics, stories, and we got a lot of news lately, so we definitely touch on the news as well. So however you want to do it. But thanks again, you guys, and until next time, good journey.